He looks just like your son," the millionaire's girlfriend whispered when she spotted the young black boy on the street. And in that instant, Jonathan Richardson froze. Her words sliced the cold December air like a knife, echoing across the nearly empty mall parking lot. Victoria, the blonde woman on his arm, had spoken so casually, as if she were only commenting on the weather. But without realizing it, she had ripped open a wound Jonathan had been trying to close for 5 long years. The boy sat on the sidewalk near the entrance, clutching a piece of cardboard with shaky letters written on it. He couldn't have been more than 10, the exact age Jonathan's son, David, would be if he were still alive. The likeness was haunting. The same curly hair, the same face shape. Even the way he tilted his head when watching strangers pass by felt painfully familiar. "Jonathan, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost," Victoria teased, adjusting her expensive purse. "Come on, the restaurant must be full already." But Jonathan couldn't move. His eyes stayed locked on the boy, who now gazed back with innocent curiosity. It was as if David had stepped right out of the photographs Jonathan still carried in his wallet, as if time had rewound to that tragic day when everything changed. "Sir, do you have any spare change?" the boy asked softly, standing up on thin legs. His oversized clothes hung off his frame, clearly secondhand, and his sneakers were so worn that his toes poked through the holes. Victoria instantly took a step back, as if poverty could spread like a disease. "Jonathan, let's go. Don't encourage him. Kids like that just want money." But Jonathan couldn't look away. Something in the boy's eyes stirred memories he had buried deep. That same spark, that quiet determination, just like David, who used to help in the kitchen, dreaming of one day becoming a chef like his father. "What's your name?" Jonathan asked, ignoring Victoria's sharp tone. "Gabriel, sir. Gabriel Santos." In that moment, something inside Jonathan broke and healed at the same time. It wasn't only the resemblance that struck him. It was Gabriel's dignity, even in hardship, the same dignity David had shown, even during chemotherapy, when the treatments left him too weak to play. "Enough!" Victoria snapped, tugging Jonathan's arm. "We're late, and you're embarrassing yourself." But Jonathan barely heard her. His eyes followed Gabriel as the boy bent down to pick up papers that had blown from an elderly man's bag. They weren't his, yet Gabriel carefully returned them, even helping the man organize his groceries. He asked for nothing in return. Jonathan felt his chest tighten, his heart racing in a way it hadn't in years. Gabriel wasn't just a poor boy on the street. There was something about him, something that shattered all of Victoria's dismissive words, something that reminded Jonathan not only of the son he had lost, but the man he himself used to be before grief had hardened him. Gabriel returned to the sidewalk and smiled shyly at Jonathan. Despite his thin face and ragged clothes, his smile carried hope. If you're wondering why a millionaire will be shaken so deeply by the sight of a homeless child, stay with me. Because what happened next would change not only Jonathan's life, but everyone's in ways no one could have seen coming. Victoria still couldn't understand. After 2 years with the city's most sought-after businessman, she was used to the luxury. What she wasn't used to were his sudden moments of weakness. "Jonathan, for God's sake, you're making a scene," she hissed, checking around nervously. "People will think we've lost it." But Jonathan's mind had already drifted back 5 years, to the hospital room where David had spent his final months. Even while weak from treatment, David had always managed to smile at the nurses, always shared his toys, always asked if his father was okay, when he was the one who needed comforting. "Gabriel," Jonathan whispered, testing the name on his tongue. "How old are you?" 10, sir. I'll be 11 in March." The same age David was when he died. The same birthday. Victoria rolled her eyes. "Perfect. Now you're interrogating him. Jonathan, this is pathetic. He probably never even went to school, and you're wasting your time like he matters." Jonathan turned toward her, his voice firm. "Don't say that. These people need to survive on their own," she snapped. "Handouts will just bring more of them." Gabriel lowered his head, clearly used words like hers. He showed no anger, only the quiet sadness of someone who had heard it all before. "Where do you sleep, Gabriel?" Jonathan asked gently. "There's a shelter nearby, sir, but only when there's room. Otherwise, I stay right here." He pointed toward a side entrance of the mall, where a small roof offered some shelter from rain. Victoria crossed her arms, exasperated. "Great. Now you know his sob story. Can we leave? We're already late for our reservation." But Jonathan wasn't ready to go. His eyes lingered as Gabriel carefully gathered his few belongings. A thin blanket, a battered notebook, and a pen that looked like it had been pulled from the trash. There was something about the careful way Gabriel arranged his few belongings that caught Jonathan's attention. "What do you write in that notebook?" he asked. Gabriel hesitated, lowering his eyes, as if afraid Jonathan would laugh. I write down things I see, stories I make up. My mother taught me how to write before." His voice cracked, "before she left." Jonathan's chest tightened. "She didn't really leave," Gabriel added quickly. "She got sick. Lung cancer. She cleaned offices for a living, but when she grew too weak, the hospital said there was nothing they could do without money." He shrugged lightly. "She died 2 years ago." Victoria let out a sharp laugh. "Oh, how convenient. The dead mother story. They always have one, Jonathan. You're letting a 10-year-old manipulate you. It's embarrassing." But Jonathan wasn't listening to her. He was looking straight into Gabriel's eyes. And what he saw there was real. The kind of pain he knew all too well. The pain of losing someone because of poverty, because of a broken system, because an illness stole away every dream and left only grief. "Do you still write?" Jonathan asked softly. Gabriel nodded shyly. "Yes, about families who stay together, about kids who have parents that love them, about people who help each other." He paused, embarrassed. "They're just silly stories." "They're not silly," Jonathan said firmly, surprising even himself. "Dreaming is the most powerful thing we can do." Victoria scoffed loudly. "Oh, please. What's next? A sidewalk lecture on life?" "Jonathan, this is ridiculous. Either come with me right now or I'm leaving. You can explain to all our friends why you'd rather play social worker with a street kid." At that moment, something in Jonathan shifted. He looked at the woman he had spent 2 years with and realized she was a stranger. When had he stopped seeing beyond the surface? When had he let his world of privilege erase his compassion? Sensing the tension, Gabriel began to back away. "I don't want to cause any trouble, sir. Thank you for talking to me." "Wait," Jonathan said, gently resting a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Have you eaten today?" Gabriel shook his head, clearly ashamed. "This is your last warning, Jonathan." Victoria snapped. "Come with me right now or we're done." Jonathan looked at her, then at Gabriel. For the first time in years, everything was crystal clear. This wasn't just about food. This was about what kind of man he wanted to be. Victoria had no idea that Gabriel carried a worn school ID card in his pocket. Proof of his good grades at a public school where he studied at night after working all day to survive. She didn't know he had taught himself 3 languages from books found in the trash. She didn't know his scribbles were detailed stories that revealed a rare sensitivity and intelligence. But Jonathan was about to find out, and that knowledge would change not only his life, but his understanding of what truly mattered. He turned to Victoria, calm in a way she had never seen before. The stillness in his voice scared her more than any argument could. "Then this is where our relationship ends," he said simply, pulling out his wallet. "Gabriel, how about lunch? I know a place with the best Italian food in town." For a moment, Victoria just stood frozen, unable to process that she was being left for a street boy. When reality hit, her mask of elegance dropped. "You're choosing him over me," she hissed. "Jonathan, you've lost your mind. When this little charity phase is over, don't come crawling back. Everyone will know you prefer beggars to real people." She yanked her purse higher on her shoulder, her face twisted with fury. Gabriel lowered his head, ashamed to be the reason for such venom. "Mr. Jonathan, I don't want to cause trouble. Maybe I should just go." "No," Jonathan said firmly, his hand steady on the boy's shoulder. "Victoria, you can leave. Gabriel and I still have things to talk about." Victoria spun on her heel, but not before shouting loud enough for strangers to stare. "Fine. I hope you two are very happy." And when this kid robs you blind, don't say I didn't warn you." As she stormed off, Jonathan felt an unexpected weight lift from his chest. For the first time in years, he felt free. Free from pretending. Free from someone who never truly understood him. He turned back to Gabriel, who was watching with wide, uncertain eyes. "I'm sorry about that," Jonathan said gently. "No one should ever speak to you that way." "It's okay, sir. I'm used to it." Gabriel shrugged, his tone far too grown up for a boy's age. "Mrs. Victoria isn't the first person to think that way about me." As they walked toward the restaurant, Jonathan noticed Gabriel glancing at shop signs, whispering the words under his breath as if practicing. Curious, Jonathan pointed to a sign written in Spanish outside a Mexican place. "Do you know what that says?" Gabriel hesitated before answering. "Casa de la Abuela. It means Grandma's house." He blushed slightly. "I taught myself from old books people throw away." Jonathan stopped, stunned. "What other languages do you know?" "Well, English, of course, and some French. Not perfectly, but I can understand and speak a little." "I found some dictionaries." He trailed off, suddenly embarrassed. "I'm sorry. It must sound strange." "Strange?" Jonathan shook his head. "Gabriel, that's extraordinary." Admiration mixed with anger in his chest. Anger at a world where a boy with such talent slept on sidewalks, while others wasted every opportunity. At the restaurant, a quiet, refined place Jonathan often visited. The waiter greeted him politely. Gabriel sat nervously, wide-eyed at the elegant surroundings. "Order whatever you like," Jonathan said gently. "Anything at all." Gabriel studied the menu carefully, lips moving as he read. Jonathan quickly realized the boy wasn't just choosing food. He was memorizing prices, trying to pick the cheapest thing. "Gabriel," Jonathan smiled knowingly, "I want you to pick what you want most, not what costs the least." Gabriel looked up, surprised. "How did you know?" "Because I would have done the same," Jonathan answered softly. "But my father once told me, kindness has no price, but it does have value. And today, the value is in making sure you feel welcome." While they waited, Jonathan asked questions no one had ever cared to ask. He learned that Gabriel studied at night and was one of the top students in his class, that he shared food with other homeless kids and even protected younger ones, that he read discarded books and wrote thoughtful essays on society and justice, essays that would put many college students to shame. "Have you ever thought about college?" Jonathan asked. Gabriel gave a small laugh, though not a bitter one. "Sir, I can hardly afford food. College is too big a dream for someone like me." "Someone like you?" Jonathan repeated firmly. "Gabriel, someone like you is exactly the kind of person who belongs in college." An idea sparked in his mind. He pulled out his phone, opened a translation app, and smiled. "Let's try something. Speak to me in French, about anything you like. I just want to hear your level." Gabriel hesitated, then began to speak fluid, confident French, describing his dream of studying literature. His words flowed with clarity and grace. Jonathan noticed nearby diners setting down their forks to listen, their faces reflecting surprise at the boy's fluency. Then, a woman from the next table approached, elegant, professional. "Excuse me," she said in English. I couldn't help overhearing. "I teach languages at Columbia University, and I haven't heard such beautiful French from a self-taught student in years. How did you learn?" Blushing, Gabriel replied in near-perfect English. "Books. Movies with subtitles at the library. And a lot of practice, talking to myself." The woman introduced herself as Dr. Sarah Chun, a professor. With Jonathan's permission, she sat down. "Have you ever taken any language tests? TOEFL, SAT, anything?" Gabriel shook his head. "No, ma'am. I've never had the money." Dr. Chun exchanged a quick, meaningful glance with Jonathan. "Our university has scholarships for gifted students in difficult situations. If you're interested, I could arrange free exams for you." Gabriel's eyes flicked to Jonathan, silently asking if it was okay to hope. That would be amazing," he whispered. Jonathan's chest tightened with a feeling he hadn't known since David was alive, the sense that he was doing something that truly mattered. "Dr. Chun, could we schedule those tests next week?" Of course, she smiled. Actually, I'll do better. Gabriel, why don't you come to the university tomorrow? I'd like some of my colleagues to meet you. I think you may be exactly the student we're looking for in our pilot program. After she left her card and arranged a meeting, Gabriel sat in stunned silence, his eyes wet. Mr. Jonathan, I don't know how to thank you. No one has ever believed in me like this. You don't need to thank me, Gabriel, Jonathan said gently. Just be yourself. Show the world what you can do. He paused, then added quietly, and I need you to know something. I had a son. He died 5 years ago. He was your age. And today, for the first time since then, I feel like maybe there's a reason I'm here right now with you. Gabriel nodded slowly, sensing the weight of the confession. You said may I ask what happened? Cancer, Jonathan whispered, drawing a long breath. He fought for 2 years. He was like you, smart, kind, always helping others, even when he was suffering. Seeing you today reminded me that there's still good in this world. What Jonathan didn't know was that at that very moment, Victoria was already plotting revenge. Furious and humiliated, she sat at the bar of the city's most exclusive club, spinning her own story, in her version. She was a victim of a man who had lost his mind, duped by a cunning street kid who only wanted money. What she didn't realize was that some of her listeners weren't just listening. They were recording. And in the age of social media, words like hers don't just vanish. They return like shadows, exposing the truth behind polished masks. Meanwhile, Gabriel walked beside Jonathan with a mixture of hope and disbelief. For the first time in years, the future seemed bright, filled with possibilities he had never dared imagine. What he didn't know was that when someone finally finds a chance to shine, there's always someone trying to put out their light. And sometimes the real test of character comes not in how we handle success, but in how we face those determined to destroy us for simply existing. 3 days later, Victoria woke to find that her perfect life had turned into a viral nightmare. The video of her hateful remarks at the club spread like wildfire across social media, stamped with the hashtag #EliteRacism, gaining millions of views in just one day. These people should survive on their own. They'll rob you. Beggars are useless. Her own voice echoed back at her in every angry share and furious comment. Her phone buzzed nonstop. First came Marcus, her boss at the luxury advertising firm, where she was an account executive. Victoria, you're fired. Client are canceling deals. We cannot let someone tied to this kind of behavior represent us. Then Amanda, her closest friend and host of the city's elite social events, called with icy words. Sorry, Vic, you're out. The others are furious. You've disgraced us. One by one, the foundations of her glittering life collapsed. The exclusive club revoked her membership. Friends ignored her calls. Even her fancy apartment slipped away when her roommates demanded she leave at once. While Victoria watched her world crumble, Gabriel lived the opposite story. At Columbia University, he amazed not only Dr. Chun but a whole team of professors. His language exam scores set new records. In 2 decades of teaching, I have never met a self-taught student with such brilliance, declared Dr. Martinez, head of modern languages. Gabriel wasn't just eligible for a full scholarship. He was exactly the kind of rare talent the university wanted to showcase. Jonathan stood nearby, filled with a pride he hadn't felt in years. Watching Gabriel discuss French literature with top scholars was like witnessing a miracle unfold. Are you sure about this? Jonathan asked as they walked across campus after the council meeting. Gabriel smiled, holding the acceptance letter that would change everything. Mr. Jonathan, for the first time in my life, I am completely certain. Just then Jonathan's phone rang. It was Victoria, her voice cracking with despair. Jonathan, please, you have to help me. My life is collapsing because of that stupid video. I didn't mean it. You know me. Jonathan's reply was steady. No, Victoria. That was the real you. Those words weren't a slip. They revealed your true self. But I've lost my job, my friends, everything. People are threatening me online. Please defend me. She begged. Jonathan looked at Gabriel, who stood by a classroom window, absorbed in a philosophy lecture. 3 days ago, you mocked me for treating Gabriel like a human being. Today, he has a full scholarship to one of the nation's best universities. So tell me, Victoria, who was right? The silence on the line said it all. Your downfall isn't my fault or Gabriel's, Jonathan continued. It's the result of your own words and choices. And honestly, for the first time in a long while, I feel justice has been served. When he hung up, Gabriel asked quietly, was she asking for help? She was. But here's the difference, Gabriel. When you needed help, it wasn't because you hurt someone. It was because the world hadn't given you the chance you deserved. That afternoon, Gabriel browsed his first university books while Victoria sat alone in her empty apartment, scrolling through endless comments dissecting every cruel thing she had said. Jonathan's online following had doubled once people connected him to the viral story. But instead of defending Victoria, he used his platform to highlight Gabriel and other gifted youth who lacked opportunity. Real privilege isn't being born with advantages. He posted alongside a photo of Gabriel in Columbia's library. It's having the humility to recognize talent wherever it shines and to learn from it. Victoria read it and understood she had lost more than a boyfriend. She had lost a chance to become a better human being. Prejudice had won over compassion, and she was left to face the cost. The irony was sharp. She lost everything by revealing her true heart, while Gabriel gained everything simply by being himself. Someone who found kindness where others only saw division. Someone who spread hope where others spread hate. But there was one more truth neither Gabriel nor Victoria knew yet. A discovery Jonathan had made earlier that morning. One that made the story of justice even more powerful and far more heartbreaking. 6 months later, Gabriel walked the university stage, winning the award for Best Freshman of the Year. His scholarship had grown into something greater, a foundation Jonathan created to support talented students in need. Victoria saw it all online from the cramped apartment she now rented, surviving on a part-time call center job. Her former friends posted smiling photos with Gabriel at charity events, praising him as an inspiration, the same word she once sneered at. Not only has Gabriel Sanos broken every academic record, the dean announced, but his story shows us that true worth lies not in where you come from, but in who you are. From the front row, Jonathan wept. That morning, he had finally shared the truth with Gabriel. The boy had been born in the same hospital, on the same day, at almost the same hour as his late son, David. The child he lost and the child life had given him seemed bound by fate. Mr. Jonathan, Gabriel whispered, I think your son sent me to you. During his speech, Gabriel mentioned Victoria. Even those who doubted me helped, because they taught me the best answer to prejudice is success. Victoria closed her laptop in silence. At last, she understood the difference between them. She had used words to tear people down. Gabriel used achievements to lift others up. Jonathan built an empire that gave jobs to homeless youth. Gabriel became one of the youngest lawyers to graduate with the highest honors. And Victoria remained alone, having lost everything by showing her true colors. In the end, justice wasn't in her downfall. It was in Gabriel's rise, proof that character turns setbacks into stepping stones. Sometimes, the universe brings people together not by chance, but because they need each other to become who they were always meant to be.